Sink is a maidenless hunk who can't pull any huss because he is too short and ugly. Tired of his single life, Sink decides to end it all by jumping off the school building. But God had other plans as just when he is about to become a meat pack, a portal opens to another world which transports him into a world where all humans have animal ears and tails. However, before any of this, in a military camp, the Princess Liam Machelli of the Glet Lion Army is sitting on the throne. As a man kneels in front of her, the man on the ground is General Godwin, who leads the Gallet Lion Army and wages war. On behalf of the Princess Lee Machelli asks Godwin about the troops' advancement, to which he replies that they had to stop because of the heavy rain. However, he assures her that once the rain settles down, they will immediately start marching towards the Biscotti Kingdom. Princess Lem Machelli smiles cruelly while her servant pours down grape juice into her glass. She can't have alcohol as she is still and is not an adult. Meanwhile, in the Filiano castle of the Biscotti Republic, all the high officials of the Republic are gathered for a meeting to discuss the invasion of the Gallet Lion Army. The officials are worried because lately their defenses have been very weak, which is why they haven't been able to defend against the invasions. One of the older officials comments that only if they had their knight Yukazi and knight Brios in the battles, they wouldn't be losing so miserably. One of the younger officials, Lauren, replies to the elderly and explains that they have their duties and can't divert their attention towards this battle. The elderly official is worried that if this continues, then the kingdom might end up getting destroyed by the soldiers of the Gallet Lion Army, so he suggests just giving up Filiano Castle and retreating. This offends one of the female knights named Declare, who angrily comments that she won't let such a thing happen and that they must win this battle no matter what. Her bad table manners make one of the female officials named Ricotta angry, who reminds her that she is in the presence of the princess. Claire apologizes and backs away as she lets Princess Millar decide things for herself. After noticing that everyone is calmed down, Princess Mill here finally speaks her mind as she first assures everyone that they will not lose the upcoming battle, for that she is going to play her trump card, which is to summon a great hero from another world. Meanwhile, in the city of Kanakawa, Japan, a young girl named Rebecca is outside the house of her friend Sink, waiting for him to wake up and get ready for school. Sink finally wakes up after hearing her calls and starts getting dressed in his school uniform. After getting ready, he packs up his backpack and jumps straight out of the window instead of walking through the door normally. This is just another day for Sink, whose only hobby in this world is athleticism and Parker. Rebecca is also used to weird antics, so she doesn't mind him jumping around like a little monkey as he hops from one place to another. While they are both walking towards their school, Rebecca asks Sink about the spring break and if he is going anywhere. Sink answers that his parents are away on a business trip, so he would most likely go back home to Britain as there is a tournament coming up in just a few days. He also likes Britain because it's a big place with a lot of places to practice and hop around, unlike Kanakawa City, which is small with not that many places to do adventurous things. Rebecca can't help but smile after hearing his complaints as she comments that he must like athletics. Sink nods in approval as he mentions that there is nothing more that he likes in this world than athletics. That's why he wants to participate in the upcoming Iron Athletics tournament. Since last year he has only won second place, which has made him extremely depressed. Rebecca consoles him that winning the second place was also a big achievement, but Sink comments that if it's not the first place, then it doesn't matter if he is in the hunt place or second place. Soon they both arrive at the school where Rebecca finally mentions Sink's promise of hanging out together with their families after the spring break is over. Sink assures her that he still remembers, and when his parents finally get the time, he will ask them to see the flower fields with them. After promising Rebecca, Sink leaves for his class where he spends the last of his few hours. Soon it's time for him to go back, so he once again jumps out from the window and starts walking on narrow slits across the school walls. After parkering around like a ninja, he finally reaches the entrance where he jumps down expecting to land on the ground. However, just then a random dog appears out of nowhere who throws a sword onto the ground, which turns into a portal in which Sink falls and is transported into a whole other world. After falling into this new world, Sink looks around and finds Princess Miller standing in front of him. Sink is surprised to see her and is even more shocked when he notices that she has dog ears and a tail. Her cute appearance and beauty cause him to blush as he asks her who she is. Mill here first apologizes to Sink for summoning him out of nowhere and then introduces herself to be Melir, the princess of the Biscotti Kingdom. She explains that the Biscotti Kingdom is under attack by the Gallet Lion Army, who are continuously pushing them to their limits again and again. While she is explaining things to Sink, the Gallet Lion Army is busy invading the Biscotti Kingdom as its soldiers try their best to resist the powerful and trained invaders of the opponent's army. By Scotty Army's last line of defense is the city gate, which is closely guarded by their elite soldiers, but the powerful forces of Glet Lion Army quickly take over the city gate and open it to unleash their complete assault back to Mill here she finally explains everything to Sink and has him travel with her back to the Potty Kingdom where she will officially announce him to be the hero calls upon her cell, which is sort of a white ostrich who is Millar's royal steed. Sink is excited to see so many mystical things, so he quickly boards atop this soul and they start moving towards the kingdom onto the battlefield. The both armies are fighting teeth as the announcers in the sky continue to broadcast the entire battle to the audience. One of the broadcasters is Framboise, who is from the Gallat Kingdom. Beside him sitting is Bernard, who is also one of the generals of Gallat army. The last one is Princess Lem. Michelle is Aideville. After introducing the guests to the public, Framboise continues with his broadcasting as he announces that the Lion army has already taken the Poporo fortress and is now moving towards the Filiano Lakefield, which is also known as the invisible wall of the Biscotti Kingdom. This difficult region is extremely hard to traverse as the water not only stops the Lion army from moving forward on their feet, but they are also continually attacked by the cannons from the Biscotti Kingdom, which doesn't allow the troops to have much room for error. Both sides suffer huge casualties, but each side is quick to rescue its soldiers so they can rejoin the fight later on and fight again. While this region is locked into a tough battle, the other regions are also engaged in a fierce fight. On the Lion army's side, their general Godwin leads the troop into the battle, who mercilessly slaughtering his way through the horde of enemies who aren't able to defend against even one of his attacks. From Biscotti's side, the female Knight Claire is slaying groups upon groups of enemies who continue to charge at her without any rest. Claire is even forced to use her special skills, which only serve to tire her even further. Seeing this, she can only pass down the fight to one of her fellow knights, Lauren, who grabs his lance and unleashes a powerful strike which destroys most of the upcoming soldiers. One of the soldiers uses the fluff body of his comrade to jump up and get ahead of Lauren, but he still gets knocked down before he can reach the end. Seeing his bravery, General Bernard promises to reward him once the battle is finished. Back to Milhier and Sink, they finally arrive at the battlefield where Sink is kind of surprised to see the scale of the battle. He worriedly asks Milhier if people get injured or die during the battle. Milhier answers that nothing like that happens since all the battles are fought under the rules of their world. The fallen soldiers revert to their puffy forms and are taken back to heal, where they eventually recover to their original forms. Sink is delighted because he didn't want to become a hero if it meant staining his hands with blood. After learning that he only has to use his athleticism to beat down enemies into their puffy form, Sink accepts the role of the hero and gets ready for his first battle. After getting his confirmation, Malir announces to her people that Sink is the new hero that she summoned and finally reveals his existence to the world. Sink makes his first heroic entry as he jumps down into the raging battlefield. On his head is the red bandana of revolution and in his hands is the staff which he will use to vanquish all of his enemies. His entrance attracts a lot of attention since it has been a long time since a hero was summoned to this world. Both sides are equally excited to see Sink. The Biscotti army is happy because they have a hero on their side. Now the Glet Lion army is happy because the merit of defeating a hero will quickly make them famous overnight. After landing, Sink is approached by Lauren, who asks him if he has learned all the rules about the battle. Sink answers that Millar explained all of those rules to him on their way to the battlefield. To be completely sure, Lauren takes one small quiz from Sink, and only after he clears it that he lets him go and fight. Sink jumps into the battle and is immediately attacked by a pair of enemy soldiers who want to steal all the glory for themselves, but Sink bonks them on the head with a stick, which turns them into his puffy forms. This is one of the ways to defeat the enemies, which is by striking them hard with their weapons. The other rule is a bit different as it involves using the palm of his hands to touch the back of the enemy's head, which also turns them into puffy forms. This one is a bit difficult, so it is worth more points naturally, but for Sink it is nothing but a child's play, as his athletic abilities allow him to jump from one enemy to another without much difficulty. This catches the enemy off guard, who aren't able to do anything as they watch him touch the back of their head with his palms and turn them into their puffy forms. Sink continues to dominate his opponents as he soon arrives at the core of the battle, where he is met with a Claire who is still fighting the enemies with her full strength. Sink watches her use the beam attack which she previously used, so he asks her if this is her seal attack. The Claire looks at Sink and can't help but feel a bit irritated, but she still answers and tells him that it is indeed the seal attack of her weapon. Sink is glad because he wanted to learn it from her after he learned about it from Milhier previously when he was changing into his hero's attire. Milhier told him about the world of Flaniard and the energy that flows through it. The people call it spirit energy, and it can be used for a lot of things, and one of those things is the seal attack that can only be used by special weapons designed to handle the spirit energy. Saying this, Milhier hands out a ring to Sink, which is a sacred weapon weapon only meant to be wielded by the hero, she tells Sink that it can turn into any weapon that he wants. Sink, being a fan of sticks, chooses a staff to be his weapon, which surprises Millar, as most people choose swords or spears as their weapons. Back to the present, Sink explains all of this to Eclair and tells her that Miller recommended that he learn about the seal attack from her since she is the best at it. Hearing this, Eclair blushes and finally agrees to teach him. She asks him to copy her moves as she performs each move step by step. After copying her moves, Sink is finally able to summon the avatar that he saw Eclair pulling out previously. The avatar allows him to utilize the spirit energy in heaven and on earth to attack the enemies. Both Eclair and Sink release their seal attacks at the same time, which creates a huge explosion zone enveloping all of the enemy soldiers, who immediately turn into their puffy forms and start escaping to save their lives. After the attack, both Eclair and Sink feel a bit exhausted because the seal attacks are powerful, but they also drain a lot of energy. The seal attacks are good against normal soldiers, but against the knights and elites, they have their own protective gears and weapons, so unless it's a sneak attack, it's hard for someone to defeat them with just a seal attack. Just as she says this, a powerful seal attack comes towards them, which Eclair barely stops with her daggers, but still ends up getting shot backwards as both her and Sink crash into the mountain. When the dust settles, Eclair looks above and realizes that the attack was from the Princess Lean Macelli, who personally came into the battlefield to defeat them. After showing her powers to them, Lean Macelli leaves to attack the main base. Eclair, who is on top of Sink, asks him to move aside so they can chase her. Soon they both catch up to Lim Macelli and attack her from two different sides. Lean Macelli notices their strategy, so she jumps away and let both of them crash into each other as she throws another seal attack at them, which causes both Eclair and Sink to crash down. Lim Macelli doesn't give both of them any time to recover as she immediately launches a full power seal attack, which blows the whole arena, making all the soldiers their turn into their puffy forms. After the dust settles down, she doesn't find Eclair or Sink anywhere, so she asks the announcers to confirm if they have been defeated. But before the announcers can say anything, they look in the sky and find Sink and Eclair coming down at a rapid speed. Previously, when Lee Macelli was about to launch her full power attack, Eclair used her own seal attack on the ground to propel themselves into the air, which saved them from getting defeated. While they both are falling down, they quickly make a strategy to defeat Lean Macelli. First, Claire throws Sink towards Lean Macelli with her full strength, which pushes Sink to surpass all of his speed limits as he crashes into Lean Macelli. She tries to defend herself, but in the meantime, Eclair arrives as well, and they both start to disarm Liam Macelli little by little till she has no weapon or armor left on her body. Sink, being a young man, can't help but stare at Liam Macelli, who got the physique of a diva. With the battle officially over, all three of them are interviewed by the press one by one. Liam Macelli first gives her interview as she praises Sink for his strength and Miller's strategy to summon a hero. She then throws the mic to Sink, who doesn't have much to say except that he enjoyed the battle. After he is finished, Lee Macelli asks him to throw his mic towards Eclair. Just when Sink throws the mic, Lee Macelli asks the cameraman to focus on Eclair and take a good picture. No one understands what she means, but when the mic finally lands in Eclair's hands, her clothes explode, and so do everyone's eyes. Lee Macelli explains that previously Sink accidentally hit Eclair's clothes with his staff, which caused this to happen later. Eclair is extremely angry at Sink, so she starts chasing him around to beat him, but is only stopped by Lauren, who invites Sink to watch the live performance from Princess Millar, who is also known as the best singer in all of Flaneyard. Sink agrees to come, but before that he asks Lauren if he can go back to his world, or at least contact his family to let them know that he is fine. Lauren is a bit taken back as he asks Sink if Millar didn't tell him about the conditions to summon a hero. He explains that once a hero is summoned to Flaneyard, he can't go back to his original world at all. Sink is shocked to learn this, but he isn't the only one, as Mill here also learns about these conditions from Ricotta. This causes her to sweat profusely as she asks Ricotta if there is any other way, but Ricotta gives her a negative answer as there is no record of such a thing happening in the past. While everyone is excited to watch the princess on the big stage, the hero who brought them the victory is nowhere to be found. The press wants to interview the hero to ask him about his personal life, but they can't find him anywhere. Seeing the huge crowd of reporters causes Lauren to appear in person as he tells them to come back later and makes an excuse that the hero is busy with personal stuff, while Lauren is trying to convince all the reporters Eclair